Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please start with a roll call. Here.
Council President Pérez. Councilmember Van.
Here.
Councilmember Alverson.
Here.
Councilmember Rivera.
Here.
Councilmember O'Halloran. Councilmember McIrvin.
Here.
And Councilmember Prince.
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all present. Councilmember Rivera is remote.
Thank you. Tonight we're going to start off with a proclamation, National Gun Violence Awareness Month.
All right. Proclamation. Whereas every day nearly 130 people in the United States are killed by gun violence and more than 200 are shot and wounded, with an average of more than 19,000 gun homicides every year. And whereas people in the United States are 26 times more likely to die by gun homicide than people in other high-income countries. And whereas Washington has 950 gun deaths every year with a rate of 11.7 deaths per 100,000 people, Washington has the 39th highest rate of gun deaths in the U.S. And whereas mayors, council members, and law enforcement officers, in partnership with local violence intervention activists and resources, know their communities best, are the most familiar with local criminal activity and how to address it, and are positioned to understand how to keep their citizens safe. And whereas gun violence prevention is more important than ever as we see gun violence continue to impact communities across the country, and whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the hands of people who should not have access to them and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our families and communities safe. Now, therefore, I, Armando Pavoni, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim June 2026 to be National Gun Violence Awareness Month in the City of Renton, and I encourage all residents to support their local community's efforts to prevent the tragic impacts of gun violence and to save lives. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed this 22nd day of June, 2026, signed Armando Pavoni, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council President.
I move the proclamation be adopted as read.
Second.
Moved by Council President Perez, second by Councilman McIrvin, that the proclamation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And motion carries. And tonight, accepting the proclamation is Laura Meyer, and she's representing Moms Demand Action, the Renton local group. Laura.
Thank you so much. Again, my name is Laura Meyer, and I am a resident of Renton and a parent of 2 school-aged children. I am also a member of the local group of Renton Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. Gun violence is the leading cause of death for children in America. In addition, every day in the United States, 130 people are killed by guns and hundreds more are injured. These are statistics that we can no longer choose to ignore. Wear Orange brings attention to the epidemic of gun violence and recognizes the victims of gun violence. Wear Orange is recognized by the American Academy of Pediatrics, National PTA, the Human Rights Campaign, and National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, Students Demand Action, and countless other national organizations. National Wear Orange Day was on June 5th this year, but we as a community and as a country must strive to address the epidemic of gun violence every day. We acknowledge that gun safety is a divisive topic across political beliefs, but we hope that our leaders will make gun violence prevention a priority. From parents to community partners to survivors of gun violence to responsible gun owners who securely store their guns, it takes all of us to keep our communities safe. I'd like to thank my fellow gun violence prevention advocates for joining me today, and I'd like to thank you, Mayor Pavone, and the council members for honoring the victims and survivors of gun violence by issuing the Wear Orange Proclamation.
Thank you.
Right.
Next up is the administrative report.
Good evening, everyone. Join us for more FIFA World Cup watch parties. June 25th. What?
That's all.
Sorry. Join us for more FIFA World Cup watch parties, June 25th, 27th, and 28th. If theater is more your style, be sure not to miss the live production of Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing on June 26th. For more information and a full list of the events, please visit rentonwa.gov/events. America is turning 250 years old and Renton is celebrating. Join us Saturday, July 4th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Cedar River Park, that's 1717 Maple Valley Highway, for Renton's hometown 4th of July. The event is free and includes a 5K run, DJ, hot off the grill hot dogs, game zone, and much more fun for the whole family. For more information, please visit rentonwa.gov/4th of July. Information about preventative street maintenance, traffic impact projects, and road closures happening this week can be found at rentonwa.gov/traffic. All projects are weather permitting, unless otherwise noted. Streets will always remain open. That is it, sir.
All right, thank you. Next up is audience comment. We do have a few people signed up. I want to remind everyone that all remarks must be addressed to the council as a whole. When I call your name, please step up to the podium. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. There's a little timer there in front. When it starts turning yellow, please start wrapping up your comments. When you do come up to the podium, please state your name and city of residence for the record. And first up is Leslie Jensen.
Good evening. You guys know I'm Leslie Jensen, lived in East Renton Highlands since 2011. I came here today to read aloud the email that I got from the chief of police, who was supposed to be addressing my concerns about ALPR cameras. So first he apologizes for his delay in responding, and then he goes on here. I do understand that many members of our community have very strong feelings about the use of ALPR technology, which I certainly understand considering some of the information that has been circulated. As directed by council, the police department has ceased any use of our ALPR systems. Those systems are not currently capturing or storing any images. I believe in the technology and the value it adds to public safety as an investigative tool. I do recognize that with any new technology, there is the potential for misuse as described in the incidents you have cited. For that reason, our state legislator was compelled to enact protections for our communities against any abuse or exploitation of the technology. State law has considerable restrictions governing its use to include access, audits, confirming information prior to any enforcement action, and a criminal element for users that are found to have violated state law. I do empathize with your concerns and feel that the Renton Police Department and the state of Washington are at the forefront of policy and laws that can enable ALPR systems to be used while addressing those. Respectfully, John Schultz. So I'd like to challenge anyone on the dais or even in this room to point to any place in this email where he addressed a single one of my concerns. He didn't even bring up any of the links that I sent him that showed data or told stories of how people have had issues with ALPR cameras. I found this email to be both absurd and patronizing to me and to the citizens of Renton. Flock does not keep data safe. Since November of 2025, that's 8 months, they've had 3 major security or data exposure events. 3 in 8 months, exposing people's data to whoever wants it. The cameras are easily hackable. Ben Jordan, who's a journalist, has already demonstrated this in videos. And in January 2026, researchers found 67 Flock cameras streaming live to the internet with no passwords, nothing. People could just watch it. I think it's very evident that Flock does not care about keeping people's data safe. It's frustrating and ridiculous that we have to keep pointing this out. And then the last but not least, Any other law enforcement entity with flock contract can look at Renton's data. It's not just Renton police that can look at it. Any other police entity can look at it who has a contract with flock. And they can also then show that to ICE or whoever else they want, because Washington state laws only apply to Washington state. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up is Adrian Higgs.
My name is Adrian Higgs. I am a resident of Renton. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, we have entered into an unthinkable business deal with Flock. We are paying Flock to put pump jacks on our city's data and store housing the result while we pay them. In any other circumstance, Flock would be paying Renton eye-watering amounts of money for this data. But why is this data so valuable? Because it is corrosive and harmful to everyone involved. When thinking about data sets like this, it is important for everyone to consider what would my biggest adversary do if they had this data set available to them. For businesses, Flock data is a goldmine for corporate espionage. A motivated competitor could track freight trucks entering a facility, map out a competitor's entire supply chain, measure exact vehicle traffic to estimate a rival's retail revenue, or even track the daily commute of key executives. For the city, aggregating this data exposes our municipal playbook. Private developers could analyze unreleased traffic flow patterns to snap up real estate before we announce new infrastructure, or contractors could track the exact routes and schedules of city code enforcement and utility crews, exploiting that data to game municipal contracts. For police, this threat is immediate and physical. Organized crime could use this data to map and the patrol route of cruisers, pinpoint the exact timing of shift changes to find blind spots, or worse, track the movements of unmarked vehicles to expose undercover operations and identify the private home addresses of our officers. In short, this data cannot be allowed to exist. Even with the best intentions, Flock gathering this data together and storing it makes an extremely attractive target to hackers and dark web websites. But also consider that in February, Flock removed lines from their terms of service that explicitly said that they would not sell customer data, and granted themselves perpetual rights to keep that data for themselves. Flock is explicitly and unabashedly using this data to train their AI. And if they aren't doing so already, Flock is setting the groundwork to sell our city's data, or insights gleaned from our city's data as a derived product. This data will either be sold or leaked, guaranteed. The only way to prevent this harm is to make sure the data doesn't exist in the first place by terminating our contract with Flock and letting the data that they already have go stale. Thank you, Council.
All right, thank you. Next up is Michael Westgard.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, Madam President, Council. My name is Michael Westgard, Renton resident. I'm just coming in again, both to support all the comments that are being made about the Flock, but also bring back around that the council has voted on and passed some really important actions for the administration to take on. Whether it was on protecting our LGBTQI community, whether it's exploring a moratorium on data centers, what to do next about these Flock systems and getting out of the contract or completely getting rid of them. And then finally, seeing about the possibilities of keeping ICE officers off of public property and not letting them stage there, and holding them to account if they commit crimes in the city of Renton. And I think this is all very important work, and I congratulate and really appreciate the support from the council members that voted to push this along. But now is the time that we need it to be publicly open and available, what this timeline is going to look for all four of these different actions, because that's going to be incredibly important. Because we've already seen, after the trans member of our community was attacked over a year ago, there was supposed to be protections and review of actions at that time, it was passed along to the administration, and we never heard anything about it again. So I really appreciate all the community members that continue to come out, and we will continue to come out until we have a clear public communication about a timeline and action and direct results of what has been pushed along to the administration, because this is critical for our community to keep the whole community safe. So I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. Next up is Cheryl Freeze. Yes, she is.
I'm remote. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Cheryl Freeze, Renton resident. So if city council is going to vote to unpause the block cameras, and if there is a possibility that that is going to happen, then we please ask that prior to the city council being asked to vote to turn the cameras back on, that a community meeting occur. As mentioned in the email that we sent to city council, and I want to do a side note and say thank you to Ruth for responding. We had a conversation with Chief Schultz, which we also appreciated, and we spoke candidly about the lack of information and transparency, and the result being a lack of trust and frustration, especially when compounded with other issues occurring simultaneously in the city. We recommend that whatever was shared with the Equity Commission and whatever is now being shared with City Council, that something similar be done for all residents of Renton. If RPD is being more conservative than SB 6002 requires, then show us. If indeed only the back of vehicles and the license plates are photographed, nothing else, then show us. If indeed RPD is going to conduct an audit every 15 days versus the annual one required by SB 6002, then show us. If indeed accessing the database is purely being accessed for gross misdemeanors or felonies, then show us. If the data is deleted every 21 days, then show us. We reached out to the Equity Commission today to specifically ask them to make an amendment to their letter and support the community meeting and transparency with all of Renton's residents. Per Hannah, it sounds like RPD met with the Equity Commission twice in April and June. Our recommendation is a community meeting soon in an expedited timeframe, because we think it's crucial before City Council is put on the spot and delay continue to happen for voting until that meeting occurs. We also recommend that a commission be formed made up of Renton residents to engage with RPD if the cameras are turned back on, especially to stay abreast of the audits and the results of said audits. Thank you for the consideration of delaying any vote on block cameras.
All right, thank you. Next up is Jack Moore.
Hi, Zach Moore, Renton resident. Before I get to my commentary, I'd like to request an update on the 3 issues that were voted on the last time I was here, namely banning ICE from using city property, a moratorium on data centers, and passing protections for our LGBT neighbors. Having said that, I'd like to speak to the issue of ALPRs again. Recent reports inform us that these units will soon be able to gather data about our phones and Bluetooth devices, information they don't need, information they can only get if you allow them to spy on us in our own community. My hope is that that isn't why the council members got into government. Is that what you ran on, to help us usher in fascism under the guise of safety? If so, were you honest with your voters about your intentions? If not, you have an opportunity here today to stand up for and protect your constituents from a growing police state administrated by large, faceless corporations, or an opportunity to sell us out to that police state. So which will it be, freedom or fascism? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council President, and Council members. Ron Bensley of of Renton. Speak about Northeast Sunset Boulevard. As you know, in the Renton Highlands area, we've had a lot of new development in the area where the new Renton Library, the new apartments in there. And I've noticed there's a lot more density of vehicles and density of pedestrians. I would suggest the city do a study and implement a slower speed limit of 30 miles per hour, combined with more speed limit signs and maybe electronic signage to promote voluntary compliance. Slower speeds make a big difference in terms of pedestrian safety, but also motorist safety. An excellent example in our sister city to the north, Bellevue and Newcastle. They did changes within the last 6 weeks to Coal Creek Parkway, north of the Coal Creek Shopping District. The speed limit there was lowered from 40 to 35, accompanied by a doubling of the number of traffic signs and several electronic speed things reminding people. It's made that driving trip a lot safer. It's not guaranteed. Voluntary compliance is critical, but on behalf of the many people who live there, who drive in that area, pedestrian lives matter and motorist safety matters. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Daphne Baird.
Good evening, Council. Daphne Baird, resident of Renton. I'm ditching the script tonight because I want to speak to you on a little more personal level. I'm very worried that some of you may feel that the relationship between the Council and public comment is an adversarial one. But we are not enemies. Everyone in this room is here to improve our community. All I know about you is what you have said on the dais or in interviews. All you know about me is I show up some Mondays with horrifying statistics, and I hate when people who are doing their best are called liars, and calling them hyperbolic isn't better, but I know we're just doing our best. So please allow me to introduce myself to you. I'm Daphne Baird. As a child, I was subjected to some of the most reviled abuses a kid can experience. To the point of Proclamation, I have had to hide improperly stored firearms to save my life and my family's lives. As a young adult, I focused my efforts on suicide prevention and have saved lives there as well. But the physical toll of my childhood has caught up with me, and I can no longer support my community on the ground, so I'm here. My top priority is the protection of children. All topics I bring to you because I worry about the children of Renton. So today, this is what happens when I lose script. I know I only have 3 minutes, and I can't convince all of you of everything in 3 minutes. And so every time I've brought data with me to try and convince you to at least make informed decisions, even if you don't trust what I say. And so tonight I have one question to ask, and that is why are we so scared of a tiny sales tax increase to support our schools? Our schools are chronically underfunded when education is a more reliable driver of reducing crime rates than police funding is. And I meant to submit studies for your packets, but the day got away with me. I'm so sorry. I support any measures that increase school funding, just as I support measures that prevent our neighbors from being kidnapped and deported, and I support measures that prevent us from being stalked. Thank you.
Next up is Alice Lockridge.
Hello, I'm Alice Lockridge. I live in Renton, and I thank you for the time to speak. I want to talk about two topics, one short. I am one of the few in our community who attended 3 Juneteenth events this past week, and I have some strong opinions about each of them. And if the 2 that the city hosted ever have a committee to plan for next year, I volunteer to give input. My main topic to talk about tonight goes with my shirt and the picture taken we did, the impact of gun violence. I hope that none of you have been touched so far in your life by a gun tragedy. I have a personal story to tell about mine. Happened in November 1957. I had one of the best moments with my daddy that morning. He snuck quietly into my room and whispered to me to wake up. I slept with my little sister, and he didn't want to wake her up, and he hushed me into the kitchen. There was a chair in the middle of the kitchen, and he sat on it, and he let me sit on his lap as we listened to a radio announcement that was being replayed. A little girl in my class, Sheila Drake, had been shot and killed by her brother the day before. In a living room with 10 kids, boys were playing with guns and came into the room. I still know her little sister, Phoebe, who reached up from them playing on the floor with paper dolls and tried to push the gun away from being pointed at the girls, and it shot off part of her hand. There were 24 of us in our class. There were 10 kids in that room. My whole town was affected. My class talks about her every time we have a class reunion. On our 20th reunion, I contacted each of her sisters and brothers that were scattered all over the state and put in foster homes and asked them to tell me about that day, and they did. And they wrote it out. And then they said, share it with anybody you want and do anything you want with this story. And what they would want me to say is do anything you can at your locations and where you're passing by at moments to prevent gun violence and to help people that are having mental illness problems or kids that are unsupervised. All of those things went together to cause that tragic moment in December 1957 when Sheila Drake died. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Gabrielle Welding.
Hello, it's me, Gabrielle Weidling, City of Renton resident. I'm here to talk to you about my usual topics, but I'm going to start with part of the proclamation that was read tonight. Said that he wanted to, quote, encourage all residents to support their local community's efforts to prevent the tragic impacts of gun violence and to save lives. And I want to ask the city council and the mayor, who is the one who does the proclamations, why is it simply Gun Violence Awareness Month and not Gun Violence Reduction Month here in Renton? Why does our city have a pattern of awareness and not action? And to that end, I want to talk about other patterns of inaction we've had. There's a pattern of inaction around LGBTQ protections. There's a pattern of inaction around giving John Huston's family a commemorative bench to acknowledge their contributions to the city of Renton. It took a long time for us to get a lion dance at the Lunar New Year celebration in Renton. And we've also, in that pattern of inaction, not actually done anything about ICE terrorizing our city. Please don't let this become part of that inaction. You know what, to your credit, you did pause the flock cameras, and that does go to some extent. But it seems as though those flock cameras are going to be unpaused at some point because we are not getting updates and we are getting word from our chief of police and the Equity Commission that they are in support of this, even though there's overwhelming data that shows it's not. I don't come here every week with specific facts for you because to some extent, that is your job to do that research. You should know some of those things. You should be doing that work. You are here to represent us. And I think I said it once before, we are not here to do your homework for you. We will though, and we have been. I will say to Leslie's point, the data isn't safe with Flock. Do you know that in our own city's policies with the police department that the data has to be removed after 21 days per SB 6002, except in certain instances, one of which is it can be retained for traffic studies? Are you telling me you can't BS a traffic study to retain that data for who knows what uses that is then accessible to who knows what law enforcement agencies and other people and hackers? Come on. So I'm asking you again for creative solutions to the problem of ICE terrorizing our city. You are all about promoting the watch parties of the World Cup. Are you aware of how much terror ICE enacted on South King County during the last World Cup match in a very calculated way? I don't think you are. But there were multiple abductions that happened later in the day than is the normal pattern, and all during match time. So again, if you can't come up with these creative solutions, find a way to help families get their cars towed and get them back to them. If you can't do this, or worse, if you won't, I will again reiterate my point from last week, which is to resign and get out of the way for people who will.
All right, thank you. Next up is Gabriel Diaz.
Hey folks, my name is Gabriel Diaz, and I'm here to speak again about transparency in the way the city makes decisions. Now, I do want to start by giving you all some props. I know it seems like we just come up here and we tell you, hey, you're doing this wrong, everything, you're doing everything wrong, and we don't tell you what you're doing right. So I will say we are a lot more transparent than we were 2 years ago. I love the In Case You Missed It, big fan of those. But I also love that we've made Committee of the Whole accessible again to online. I was really sad to see that. It was taken offline a couple years ago, but it's back, and I love that. However, just because we've taken some good steps so far doesn't mean we don't still have a ways to go. A lot of that I'm noticing is how decisions are made. I'm a curious person. I kind of like to see what people think about council, and one thing I've noticed consistently in the conversations I've had is it feels like the full council meeting is the place where we formally adopt decisions that were already made. That whatever we say doesn't matter because it was already decided before we stepped in the chambers. Part of this, in my evaluation, is that most of the committee meetings are during working hours. We are seeing more and more folks coming to council and committee of the whole than we ever have, and I think there's a public need and I think a public interest to have more accessible committee meetings. I've noticed, like, it's me interested are the community members ones going to committee meetings. Let's see. But occasionally, maybe, I understand there has to be time to do work, but maybe occasionally setting more important topics on different days, maybe we find a random Wednesday to throw some important meeting out. It gives more people time to actually hear see how the sausage is made, right? Now, this feels very clear with Flock. As we shared today, there's been some presentation to Flock to people and commissions in the city, but we aren't really seeing that here. We have a large community asking for transparency in how Flock is decided, and we aren't really getting that. If this really is as limited as you say, then transparency will only make us more sure. If this is really if it's really this safe, then showing us this and proving it to us, we'll only feel better. But the less we know, the more we have to fill in with our own gaps. The other part of transparency is conversation with council. We need to be able to get in front of you, to email you, to be able to have these conversations, to know why you're doing the things you're doing. I heard a line this week. I got to go to the Democrat State Convention, and I heard a line, or someone told me, I would rather you look me in the face and tell me you're an idiot, and here's why, than just quietly nod, not say a word, and continue to do what you are already going to do regardless. The only way we can make change and learn and grow is conversations. And it's hard, and it's awkward, and it sucks. I get it. But sometimes we have to do the hard stuff. We have to do the awkward stuff. We have to do the stuff that sucks. This is another example of a place I have seen improvement. Those council members who are going out and having those conversations and meeting with people, I really do thank you. It means a lot. To the others, I say, your community is asking you to be heard, and not only heard, but listened to, which involves more than just the sound entering your ears and going right out. It involves taking action. It involves talking, sharing your thoughts, considering it, and finding ways to get the stuff done we want to get done. That's what a true government ran by the people looks like, and that's what we need to strive to do. So I want to encourage the people in the audience to keep doing what you're doing, talking, listening, fighting, organizing, because we need it. And I want to encourage this council to listen and learn and talk and help us grow into the best city we can be. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up is Amy. I don't have a last name.
Good evening. I'm Amy, resident of Renton. Once again, here to ask the council to terminate the city's flock contract by giving the 30 days notice as specified in your contract. The chief of police has asked for a council vote to turn the cameras back on, all while ignoring constituents' requests to hold a public meeting about ALPRs prior to doing so. There's a lot of concerns here. Whether or not Renton currently blocks federal sharing in their flock privacy settings is unclear. It's not stated on the Renton's flock transparency page. It is clear there is a relationship between Renton Police and ICE. Despite Renton's ALPR policy to not use flock data for immigration activity, they have repeatedly done exactly that, as University of Washington revealed. We know Renton Police are still helping ICE because we have eyes and we have seen it. And we also know that ICE in Renton is still using face coverings while abducting our neighbors, despite this being illegal in Washington as of March. Dayton, Ohio City Council voted to turn off their flock cameras permanently after discovering one officer failed to configure that flock privacy setting that blocks federal sharing. But because the cameras don't belong to the city, they couldn't actually figure out how to turn the cameras off permanently, nor ensure footage wasn't still getting to federal agencies. And the city had to cover the cameras with trash bags to ensure this. So how does Renton know flock footage isn't still being recorded and uploaded to the Amazon Web Services cloud and in turn to federal and out-of-state agencies? On top of that, Renton's very own contract with Flock gives Flock the right to use anonymized data for pretty much any purpose, including to train AI algorithms. It's in your contract. But license plates aren't anonymous. They are identifiers by nature. Renton's contract also says Flock can access, use, and preserve footage for third parties that just are not specified. We don't know who those parties are. Flock doesn't even own the cloud service where data is stored. And the contract also says Flock doesn't really care about confidentiality. Do what you want. So none of that's reassuring, and ignoring public concerns only adds to the community's dwindling trust. What's crazy is there are much more effective solutions to achieve Renton's stated purpose to prevent and solve crime, as stated on the website. To solve a problem, we must first understand it, and to believe that Flock will help prevent crime is to vastly misunderstand the reasons for crime in our community. In Renton, housing instability and addiction are rampant. I meet with people who are unhoused or facing eviction every single day. Most people don't want to commit crime, but they didn't see a better option to survive, or they weren't sober and had an addiction. Desperate people do desperate things. And since we apparently have an $80,000 a year to invest in Flock for crime prevention, let's invest in what we know works, like community mental health, housing, schools, like someone mentioned, even a violence prevention program like one in Chicago that reduced shooting and homicide arrests by nearly 60%. Those are crime prevention strategies. Surveillance is not. And no matter how strongly some people in the city government feel about ALPRs, those feelings are not backed by empirical evidence. Thank you for your time.
Next up is Ian Taylor.
Good evening, Council. My name is Ian Taylor. I've been a Renton resident since 2019. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. I came with the intention of thanking you for some of your recent actions, and I feel a little foolish now, having heard my predecessors' public commentary. But I will proceed. A couple of weeks ago, we raised a pride flag. Last week, we raised a Juneteenth flag. And this evening, we did the proclamation about National Gun Violence Awareness Month. And I just wanted to acknowledge that there are people in the city who may not like any of this. There are people who ignore it. There are people who are actually opposed to it. And for those of us who are in this room and those of us who think this is important, I just wanted to thank you for for taking those steps and acknowledging those needs. There are people who say that this is performative or virtue signaling and other kinds of things like that, which are meant to undermine the sincerity of the beliefs and the very real needs that underlie these recognitions, these acknowledgements, and in the case of tonight's proclamation, these warnings that if we don't change, things will not get better. I'd like to just echo something that an earlier speaker was saying about the children. All of these recognitions, acknowledgements, and warnings are done from the heart, in the interests of the future generations, the children of this generation and the future generations. We want their lives to be full, fulfilled, peaceful, safe, and the only way that's going to be the case for them is if we deal with these problems, and that's why we have these kinds of recognitions and awarenesses and acknowledgements, and why so many people, as you've seen this evening, step forward and deliver really good information. I have to say, I'm honoring the council members for your willingness to sit there and listen to this, and for all the incredible work you do. I mean, your public service is phenomenal. All of those meetings, all of those decisions that you make. So I want to honor you for that. I want to honor my fellow citizens for all of their wonderful contributions that they've made this evening, and to say I feel so good to be part of a system that allows this to happen. It's how democracy works. It's how people live fulfilled, productive lives. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, I want to say thank you for everybody that showed up in person and those that testified online. Tonight we heard a lot about Flock and some concerns for traffic safety issues in the Highlands, and then of course for gun violence. So thank you very much. We do appreciate your time and effort and energy showing up to speak with council and myself. So with that, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. There are 5 items for council consideration. Are there any that you would like pulled for separate discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council President.
hearing none, I move that the council concur with the consent agenda as published.
Second.
Been moved by Council President Perez, seconded by Councilmember McGurven, that the council approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay. Next, we're on to unfinished business. Council President Perez.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Van.
Thank you, Mayor. No.
Councilmember Albertson.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Rivera.
If I believe that I would like to make a report later in the meeting regarding our last meeting.
Do you have any unfinished business?
I don't think there's other unfinished business, but I just want to.
Okay, next up is Councilmember O'Halloran.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Finance Committee has 4 committee reports this evening.
All right, Finance Committee report. The first is regarding approval of claims and payroll vouchers. The Finance Committee approves the following payments. Accounts payable, total payment of $10,454,330.19 for a number of vouchers, including payroll benefit withholding vouchers and one wire transfer. 2 is payroll, total payment of $2,312,886.45 for payroll vouchers that include 724 direct deposits and 10 checks. This is the May 16th through 31st pay period. And then municipal court vouchers totaling $44,229.66, and Kidder Matthews vouchers totaling $40,344.52. This is signed by the Finance Committee Chair and members.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council concur with the Finance Committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember O'Halloran, seconded by Councilmember McGurven, that the council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Motion carried. All right, the next report is regarding a grant from the Port of Seattle. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize the administration to accept the Port of Seattle's Tourism Marketing Support Program award of $20,000, which the city must match by $10,000, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the grant agreement. This too is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor. I move the council concur with the Finance Committee report.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember O'Halloran, second by Councilmember Gervin, that the council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, next report is regarding an application for a grant from the State Recreation and Conservation Office. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize application to the State Recreation and Conservation Office, RCO, for a $500,000 Washington Wildlife and Recreation Program local parks grant to support the development of Northeast Renton Park. The committee further recommends that the resolution regarding this matter be presented for reading and adoption. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor. I move the council concur with the Finance Committee report.
Second.
Been moved by Councilmember O'Halloran, second by Councilmember Gervin, that the council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, the final report is regarding a grant from Bloomberg Harvard City Hall Fellow Grant, is what it's called. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the Bloomberg Harvard City Leadership Initiative Fellowship Participation and Grant Agreement of $295,155 that will reimburse the city for costs related to placement of a fellow within the Executive Services Department and to create a limited term employee position of management analyst at pay grade N17 to be recorded with the 2026 Q2 budget adjustment. This too is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor. I move the council concur with the Finance Committee report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember O'Halloran, second by the council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember O'Halloran.
The purpose of this position and this grant is for us to do a 2-year in-depth study of our homelessness issues and our approaches, and to compile all the disparate data that we have and to figure out where we have gaps and to learn how, from a data-driven perspective, how better to respond to those of us in our community who are unhoused. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, Councilmember McGurven.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Prince.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The
Planning and Development.
Planning and Development Committee has 2 committee reports.
Okay, Planning and Development Committee, continued pooling of SHB 1406 sales tax credit with South King Housing and Homelessness Partners. The Planning and Development Committee concurs with the staff recommendation to 1, continue to pool SHB 1406 sales tax credit funds with South King Housing and Homelessness Partners under the existing interlocal agreement, and 2, direct staff to provide an update and recommendation if there are changes to the SKIP organization, which the South King Housing and Homelessness Partners organization, or function that might cause the city to reconsider pooling the SHB 1406 funds. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilman.
I move council concur with the Planning and Development Committee report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Prince, second by Councilmember Van, that the council concur with the Planning and Development Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, the final report is regarding Title IV, Docket 21, additional items and new work programs. The Planning and Development Committee concurs with the staff recommendation to present the following additional 2026 Title IV Docket 21 items and other new work program items to the Planning Commission for review and recommendation. Following the review, staff will present the Planning Commission recommendations to the Planning and Development Committee for their consideration for adoption. These items are HB 1096, which is lot splitting, Next is impervious surfaces, housekeeping, HB 1494 multifamily property tax exemptions, SB 5559 unit lot subdivision local government procedures, ADU covenant release, city center community plan update, and noise variance procedures. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Prince.
I move council concur with the Planning and Development Committee report.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Prince, second by Councilmember Ban, that the council concur with the Planning and Development Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We're on to legislation. We have 3 resolutions for adoption, 1 ordinance for first reading, and 1 ordinance for second and final.
All right, the first the first resolution is Resolution 4591. It pertains to a franchise agreement. A resolution of the City of Renton, Washington, authorizing Intermountain Infrastructure Group to locate within McLeod USA Infrastructure, which is located in the city's right-of-ways pursuant to City of Renton Ordinance Number 6193 and Ordinance Number 5768, subject to conditions.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Vance, second by Councilmember Albertson, that the resolution be adopted as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries.
All right, the next resolution is regarding the application for the grant from the state for Northeast Renton Park. So a resolution of the City of Renton, Washington, authorizing the submission of an application for grant funding assistance for a Washington Wildlife and Recreation Local Parks Program project to the Recreation and Conservation Funding Board for the Northeast Renton Park development.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember.
I move the resolution be adopted as read.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember O'Halloran, second by Councilmember McGurven, that the resolution be adopted as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
All right, Resolution 4593 is regarding setting a public hearing. A resolution of the City of Renton, Washington, setting a public hearing date regarding declaring an existing utility easement surplus to the city's needs and authorizing release of said easement. That hearing will be July 20th, 2026.
Mayor? I move that the resolution be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Albertson that the resolution be adopted as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And next we have an ordinance regarding a franchise agreement. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, granting Intermountain Infrastructure Group LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, authorized to do business within the state of Washington, its affiliates, successors, and assigns the right, privilege, and authority to install communication facilities, specifically fiber optic cable and related appurtenances, under, along, over, below, through, and across the streets, avenues, and alleys of the City of Renton within the public right-of-way of Renton.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Van.
I move that the ordinance be placed in second and final reading at the next council meeting.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Van, second by Councilmember Albertson. Placed on second and final reading at the next council meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
All right, the final ordinance is an amendment to the City of Renton salary table. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending the 2026 City of Renton salary table to reflect the July 1st, 2026 salary grade adjustments agreed to in a May 20th, 2026 memorandum of understanding between the City of Renton and AFSCME, providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
Mr. Mayor, I move the ordinance be adopted as read.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember O'Hara, second by Councilmember McGurven. It's read. If there's no discussion, this is second reading and requires a roll call.
Council President Perez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughn. Councilmember Albertson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rivera. Councilmember O'Halloran.
Aye.
Councilmember McIrvin?
Aye.
And Councilmember Prince?
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all ayes.
All right, motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to new business. I'm going to start the new business by saying that I had the opportunity this weekend to go to an event on Sunday. Dr. Linda Smith and her team put together a Juneteenth celebration at her church, and had a chance to be there for a couple hours and talk to a lot of the vendors, and they did a spectacular job. I believe this is the first year they've done it at this location. I know that there were a couple other council members that joined us up there, and I just want to give her a big shout out because it was a wonderful event. Lots of people showed up. Great event put on by the community for the community. So thank you very much for your effort. Appreciate it. So, all right. Sure. And next I want to call on Council President Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Monday, June 29, 2026 is fifth Monday, so we will not have meetings. And on Monday, July 2026 at 5:15, we will have our committee of the whole here in council chambers as well as via video conference. We have two items on the agenda. First, Vision House introduction. Second, a student health hub update. And at 7 o'clock, we will have our regular council meeting here at the council chambers as well as video conference. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilor Van.
Thank you, Mayor. The Utilities Committee has a meeting 2026, which is Monday at 3:30 p.m. It's going to be at the council conference room or via video conference. You can zoom in. There are two items on the agenda. One, ordinance declaring utility easement surplus and authorizing its release. And two, emerging issues in utilities. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Albertson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, on Monday, July 6th, we will have the Public Safety Committee meeting at 4:15 p.m. It'll be held in the council conference room and via video conference. Two items on the agenda, use of force review and emerging issues in public safety. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Rivera.
Yeah, Mayor, I apologize for the confusion for a previous report that had been pulled. It's still pulled, not coming back yet. And for that reason, we will not be having a transportation committee on July 6th. That is canceled. And I just want to say thank you to all of our fellow commenters who came and spoke tonight. I do really appreciate every time that you come. I know it's not fun to come on Monday night to share all of this, but I do appreciate all the energy and effort. I apologize for any adversarial relationships or any kind of negative feelings. I know there's a lot of passion around these topics, and I just want to express my appreciation and please keep it up. So thank you all for what you're doing.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
No new business, Mr. Mayor. And finally, Councilmember Prince.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
What is the wish of the council?
Move we adjourn.
It's been moved by Councilmember Prince, second by Councilmember Albertson, that we adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.